I gotta take a sip of my beer real quick.
I'm drinking out of the cider. That was a mistake. Now I'm very drowsy.
Most of the Zoomers are socially awkward, anxious freaks.
Well, I mean,
are we still recording the podcast? Because I literally don't know at this point.
Yeah, we are.
Okay.
I'm gonna put this all on Patreon because I don't know, but like and just if anyone's listening, like I got 2 ciders in me. I'm kind of talking out of my ass here just for the shits and giggles because I have a whole theory on the nature of technology and this is very.
Oh right, that's our subject for today is technology and tradition.
Technology and tradition, because the nature of tradition is transferring social customs and even society itself across the generations. And the nature of technology is, well, to be used and to develop and to be developed and to develop itself on a compounding effect. Postmodernity is just trying to move on from modernity by doing more modernism, right? And now we're in meta-modernism, which is trying to move beyond postmodernity by doing even more what postmodernity is. And I can't wait until it's 2027 and we're in meta, ultra, beyond, mega, hyper, post modernity, right?
No, that won't happen because we'll all be dead.
Because Putin's going to set off the nukes.
Somebody's going to set off the nukes. I am non-specific as to how. It might be Putin. Biden might be looking for the ice cream button and hit the football instead. I don't know.
And then you get caught into a system. Like right now, you have these people that are powerful that have immense control, but they never have total control, and they never will have total control. I think even when people start putting chips on people's heads and people's brains, I think even then there'll always be a flaw in the system. There'll always be a way to break free, and there'll always be something that they don't control. But like the iPhone, for instance, the smartphone. That's fine if society develops rituals and traditions as a way to curb its negative effects.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Okay. It's like we don't... I'm stealing it from... Oh, what's that guy's name? French... Marcel? Like we develop technology faster than we have the virtues to use it.
Yeah.
Like, I get that, but so, like, listen, I'm all in favor of, like, every time the engineers and the scientists and the chairman of Apple like come out like we've got the new iPhone 37 or whatever the hell they're on right now. I'm all in favor of like taking a shipping container and locking them in there with iPhones for like 30 years and seeing how it turns out before they are allowed to unleash it on the public. You just need to entertain the idea that there might not be a good way to use some forms of tech. In fact, like
I know that, but
the whole premise
of the majority. I think it's only a bit tech. I think most.
Well, it's not even like.
Most tech can be used positively, I believe.
Like the whole point of industrial society and its future is that the system that allows all of this technology.
He was wrong. Ted was wrong. Well, like we can joke around about Uncle Ted, but I don't think he was right.
About like the whole point of industrial society and its future is that like the system that allows this technology to exist is inherently dehumanizing. That we can't have like I'm going to say system again to abuse the word, but like all of the things that make everything work that allow us to have this technology, it might require a dehumanizing system to get iPhones at all. And that system that it has will have certain tendencies to make people not people anymore.
I don't think it's the system. I think it's the ruling class. The ruling class of bureaucrats, which is defined by its managerial role. But bureaucrats themselves are defined by control, right? It's management, it's administration. And merchants are defined by profit. So in our current Western society, the two classes that rule the most are the bureaucrats and the merchants. That's why you have that's where the true dehumanizing effect comes. It's in the incentives within these two classes that rule society. But if society was run by the warrior class, I think, the warrior class itself would be incentivized to empower the human form and the human essence. Because if the warrior blitzes himself with a drone, he loses power. And the guy who operates the drone, who's not a warrior, is the one who actually gets the power, the bureaucrats. So like if the ruling class was the warrior class, that would make tech serve the human form.
Yeah, but I don't think that that's your solution, because what you're going to have is, like, if the drone is superior to the dude in power armor, like, the warrior class is just going to become bureaucrats. That's what happened in, like, Japan. They had to, like, figure out, like, we can't have these samurai going out and killing each other anymore.
Exactly. So what's the solution? You keep using tech to empower the human form to outcompete the fucking drone. That's the only way. That's the only way. Because you're never going to stop technological innovation. Because you're never going to have complete control of every single human on Earth where you don't allow for technological innovation. The only way is for you to outcompete the other guy who's going to make a system that's going to be dehumanizing. So like, there is no one. This is what Kaczynski is wrong. There is no one system there's no one system of society that creates technology. You have several different systems of society that can create technology. You have several different ways that a society can produce technology, and you have several different technologies that can be made. Right. So like the society in the Victorian era was different from the society that we have now, but it did create a lot of technology. Right. The technological innovations that happened in Sumer, they had several different technological innovations that happened all at once in Sumer, right? And it wasn't like a modern society that we have now. So, and this is not the only type of society that Ted was complaining about. That's going, like, society might change, and probably is changing right now. And there's going to be a new model society that's still going to produce a lot of technology, but it's going to be completely different than what we have now, right? And so I think that the key is for the Space Marine, or whatever, the super soldier, or whatever you want to call him, for him to make technology flow through him, not in a transhumanist way, because it's still empowering the human essence, right? It's not about changing him into something else, but it's about making him a human that can outcompete against the inhuman forces of the world. That's the only solution, in my opinion. So yeah, go ahead.
That's a far crappier solution, because you'll just get the dudes with drones killing them before they can do anything else.
What? And they're not.
And then, like, all the technological and
the dudes with drones are not going to kill Ted Kaczynski and the Amish that rejected technology. So if we just reject technology and we live in the woods, the guys with drones are not going to kill us. I mean, come on.
Like, it is far easier, because, for one thing, I can't become a Space Marine, but I can hide from from drones and woods. You're trying to throw more tech at the problem,
and you're trying to remove.
Look, I understand.
And thinking that that's gonna, and you think that they just invent a way to sense your ass in the fucking woods.
No, because, like, the whole the technological system that we're based on is running out of steam.
Right. Like,
it is an incredibly fragile system, and it can't last forever.
Joseph Tainer, diminishing returns to complexity, blah blah blah, complexity collapses, simplification of society. Joseph Tainer. Okay, yeah, right. That's for one. Problem number one. Although I agree with that theory, still a fucking theory. Secondly. These things work in cycles. Even if it collapses now, technological innovation will return. It's not going to just if right now it runs out of steam and things collapse, we're not going to stay stuck in that Amish paradise, right, for the rest of time.
Well, no, like, we could. There is a possibility that
we can't. There's also going to be an incentive to outcompete.
You think that?
Yeah.
Okay, but, like, there's such a way. Technology is built on, like, a certain level of centralization, at a certain level of, like, resource collection that you have to have access to. It is possible that after a collapse, like, you'd have to have, because resources get harder and harder to get the more that you use them. That we could, if it collapses down to a certain level that is below the threshold that you need to get at certain resources, there's very well possibility that we could never get them again.
Yeah, but that's a possibility, but that's not a guarantee. And you don't know that a lot of these resources won't. What's the term? They won't return over time. So
yeah, but, like, even so, like, in my scenario, we get a lot more time to get the virtues to use it than we do right now.
But in any case, like, there's no guarantee that that's what's going to happen. We don't even know if society's going to collapse as it is now. Like, I don't even think we're going to have. I do believe that society as it is now is unsustainable and will change. And I do believe that modern society, we're heading to a new era, and I believe we're heading to new medievalism. But new medievalism is not really less complex in many ways. It's more complex in some other ways, and it's less like political systems are more complex in new medievalism. Then
I don't think that you yourself think that.
of course I believe that. Why don't you think I think that?
If you're going back to a medievalism, like, we're not having really complex bureaucratic systems around there. It's because I know this dude, and this dude's going to come with me to beat up the creepy dude down the street. That's neo-feudalism. That's not a more complex system. Like, they might have AKs.
New feudalism is not new medievalism. New feudalism is in new medievalism, but new medievalism is much larger than new feudalism. So new medievalism is overlapping authorities and different institutions that have authority over one specific group of people in one specific land, and you have several different outcompeting different power structures. Because in the medieval era, it wasn't just feudalism. You had the feudal lords in France or whatever, but then you had the city-states, right? In Italy, you had several different political structures all existing at once. And sometimes, especially in European Christendom, you had several different very powerful institutions competing with each other with the same piece of land. So like you had a duke, a bishop, a Templar Grand Master, all with power over one specific group of serfs.
Okay, well, while that might be true, that doesn't necessitate that what we're going into is going to be the same amount of complicated, because that's not as complicated as we have now.
We have
Just
now
because we have factions does not mean it's like more complicated. Also, how long are we going to do this? Because we're reaching 2 hours.
Yeah. I'm slightly tipsy now.
Well, if you're, it's only going to get worse. Like the different little focal points of our system. Like we get a dude that makes a really specialized like. Not even something like computer chips, but like...
Boomers are all retiring, and a lot of them are like the last experts that are holding a lot of things together. Like, I am aware of I am aware of this stuff. Yeah, I am aware of this. Like, society is going to simplify itself naturally. Like, we can't... A lot of this can't be maintained. This doesn't mean that technology itself is a bad thing, and this does not mean that technological development is not inevitable in certain moments in history. It's a cycle. There are moments when it gets bigger, there are moments when it gets smaller. But I think the key is to make a society where technology empowers the human being. And the only way that I can think of is one where the warrior class rules, because the warrior class is a group of humans that have an incentive on them being the masters of technology, because otherwise they're going to lose power. So you create a system, a political system, and this is what Special Troopers is. Like those guys, they run on the mobile infantry suit, right? And that's like the best weapon known to man. It's got like personal nukes on it, and they can fly, and it's like a spacesuit, and it's technology that revolves around the man. And even in the book itself, in the text, it talks about how the moment that they get replaced by machines, then the entire system collapses. So they have an interest in not letting that happen. So they have an interest in not letting dehumanizing tech develop, right? And they have an interest in developing tech that can outcompete the drones. And I think it's possible. I don't think that we assume that the drone is always going to be better, but I think if we just make a few alterations on the person.
Look, I'm not necessarily assuming that, but I don't think that you can construct a society like that.
I think we have, and I think we always have. I think most of human society has been run by the warrior class, if not by the priest class. But
no, like nobody's sat down and like. Nobody outside of Lycurgus has ever successfully done that, and you can argue that maybe he.
The knights were like that. The samurais were like that.
Yeah, but that system came out.
The katana. Those were highly sophisticated weapons for the time.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that they didn't set out and like make their society like these guys are going to be in charge and they're going to have these weapons and blah 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 blah.
It was organic. It was totally organic. But they developed an ethos around it. They developed an ethos around it.
Yeah, but you can't construct that.
You can, and we have the chivalry, the bushido. Those are value systems.
Those are value systems, but they're not like
it's around the warrior class.
But it's not like social engineers that made that. Yeah, but like if you're saying like that's different than saying like we can make this exist.
And this kind of technology and this kind of society has existed naturally and still kind of does. What I'm saying, I concluded that that's the kind of society that I can think of right now, but I'm willing to change my mind, that where the ruling class will have an incentive to still allow for technological development, which will benefit all of society, but at the same time not allow for the kind of technology that dehumanizes us, because they'll have an incentive to be the ones that control the technology and to be able to use it. The moment that they outsource that power to a fucking autonomous killer robot, they're going to lose that power. But the bureaucrat's still going to be in control if it's an autonomous killer robot. The only time where the bureaucrat might not be in control is if you develop super intelligent AI, which is why you're starting to have the bureaucrats in the EU all getting all very nervous. So once you have technology developed that threatens the ruling class has an incentive of not allowing that technology to develop. Another example is Diocletian, when he stopped the engine from being developed, right? Because he was afraid that the slaves were going to take over if they didn't have, if the engine took all their jobs. But
and maybe he was right.
I believe,
just like Ted Kaczynski.
I prefer to live in a society that doesn't have slaves. You fucking like.
Yeah, I'm worming my way into the technological system so that I can institute the anti-tech revolution and make it all collapse. All I need now is just access to the NASDAQ, and I can, we could be sitting around the campfire tomorrow.
By destroying the international economy?
Exactly. It's not built on anything anyway. It's completely separated from reality.
Then how is destroying it going to destroy society as we know it, dipshit?
Because, it's all hooked into, real things, but it's all,
So it's not totally fake, then?
Well, there's real stuff hooked into the fake stuff. Certain aspects of it are entirely fake.
Okay, yeah.
And you take those away, say you have a dude who can only make chairs because however the elves tell him. If you convince him that you've just killed the elves in front of him, suddenly he can't make chairs anymore, can he?
Okay, so I guess
it sounds insane, but it's not as insane as the actual economic system we live under.
Okay. Right, okay.
It's look, these elves don't even exist, okay? If we want to talk about real elves, that's a whole different rant.
For the record, we only represent our respective opinions. Not everything that the other says represents what the other believes. We're just being cordial. I don't believe it.
Everything I said is fully endorsed by the Pilgrim's Path YouTube channel. And if you have a problem, please please send your nastygrams to Pilgrim's Path.
He's screwing with you.
Pilgrim's feeling.
He's some homeless guy. He's some homeless guy I found on the bridge. I don't know this guy. I just thought it would be interesting to get a different perspective. Okay. Right. Okay.
There's your ending point. There you go.
Thank you for joining me in this conversation, bro.
I do not envy your task of
having to edit,
slicing this together into something semi-coherent.
Having to edit this ginormous act of autism that we just splurged all over the.
I have not yet even begun to autist.
I'm gonna stop recording right now.